On July 6, 1946, Sylvester Stallone came into the world, but not without struggle. A forceps mishap during delivery left him with partial paralysis on the lower left side of his face, giving him the signature slurred speech and snarling expression that would later become his trademark. His early life was marked by turbulence. His parents' marriage was rocky, filled with shouting matches and frequent separations. Eventually, the family broke apart. Stallone, along with his younger brother Frank, was shuffled between homes, cities, and schools. He grew up feeling like an outsider, awkward, small for his age, and constantly searching for where he belonged. As a child, he was no stranger to the sting of rejection. Teachers dismissed him. Classmates teased him. He struggled academically, often labeled as a problem student. But deep inside him burned a quiet defiance, an unwillingness to be defined by circumstances or setbacks. Chapter 2: Searching for Purpose. In high school, he discovered athletics. He found confidence in his body, in movement, in performance. He also fell in love with movies, particularly the kind that told stories of underdogs who fought back. In those flickering images, he saw a reflection of himself. Not who he was, but who he could become. Stallone began studying drama, first in Switzerland and then in Florida, before attending the University of Miami. But school wasn't enough. The classroom couldn't contain the ambition building inside him. With little more than a dream, he packed his bags and moved back to New York City. He slept in bus stations, he worked odd jobs, cleaning lion cages at the zoo, ushering at movie theaters, even selling his wife's jewelry. In his darkest hour, desperate for money and food, he accepted a role in a low-budget adult film. It wasn't glamorous, but he didn't feel shame. He saw it as survival, just another step on a brutal climb to something better. Chapter 3: Writing His Own Destiny. It was during this period of poverty and hunger that Stallone started to write. Inspired by a real-life boxing match where an unknown fighter held his own against a world champion, he sat down and poured his soul into a screenplay. He wrote day and night, and in just 3 days, the first draft of Rocky was born. The story was about a nobody from Philadelphia, Rocky Balboa, who gets a once-in-a-lifetime shot at the heavyweight title. It was more than a boxing movie. It was a metaphor for Stallone's own life: struggle, grit, hope. Studio executives loved the script. They offered him large sums of money to sell it, on the condition that a major star play the lead. But Stallone refused. He knew this story was his story. He insisted that he play Rocky, despite being broke and nearly homeless. It was a massive gamble, but he stood firm, and it paid off. Chapter 4: The Birth of a Cultural Icon. Rocky was released in 1976 and hit theaters like a left hook to the jaw. Audiences connected instantly with the raw emotion and authenticity of the film. It became a box office sensation, winning 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Overnight, Stallone went from struggling actor to household name. But he didn't let success slow him down. He immediately began writing and directing, expanding the Rocky universe and exploring new roles. Each film reflected a piece of himself: the fighter, the survivor, the dreamer. He trained harder, pushed further. His body transformed into the chiseled frame that would become his trademark. He became not just an actor, but an action icon. Chapter 5: Rambo and the Rise of the Action Hero. In the early 1980s, Stallone introduced the world to a new character, John Rambo. A tormented Vietnam veteran pushed to the brink, Rambo was a symbol of post-war trauma, rage, and survival. First blood struck a chord. Audiences didn't just see explosions and violence. They saw the pain beneath the surface. Rambo wasn't just fighting others. He was fighting himself. The character became a franchise, and Stallone once again was at the center of a cultural phenomenon. With Rocky and Rambo, he had created 2 of the most enduring characters in cinematic history. As the 80s rolled on, Stallone cemented his place as the king of action cinema. He released hit after hit: Cobra, Over the Top, Lock Up, and Tango and Cash. His name was synonymous with grit, strength, and blockbuster spectacle. Chapter 6: Fame, Failure, and Reinvention. But the higher you rise, the harder the fall. By the early 1990s, the box office began to shift. Audiences wanted something new, and Stallone's brand of action felt like a relic of the past. He took risks, starring in comedies and dramas, but many flopped. His name stopped guaranteeing ticket sales. Critics were unkind. The media declared him washed up. But Stallone wasn't finished. He returned to basics. He trained harder, took on smaller roles, and patiently waited. Then in 1993, he exploded back into the mainstream with Cliffhanger and Demolition Man, both critical and commercial successes. Through it all, he never stopped believing in himself. Chapter 7: The Comeback King. As the 2000s approached, Stallone faced personal and professional crossroads. He was aging, Hollywood was shifting, but instead of disappearing, he did what he had always done. He fought back. In 2006, he shocked the world by bringing Rocky out of retirement in Rocky Balboa. Many doubted it, some laughed, but the film was a triumph. Critics praised it, fans embraced it. The underdog had returned, older, wiser, but still swinging. 2 years later, he brought Rambo back to the screen in a darker, more brutal chapter that reminded everyone why these characters mattered. And then came The Expendables, an action-packed love letter to the genre he helped define. Surrounded by fellow legends, Stallone reminded the world that he wasn't a relic. He was royalty. Chapter 8: Passing the Torch. In 2015, he stepped back into the ring, this time not as the fighter, but as the mentor. Creed introduced a new generation to the Rocky legacy, with Stallone playing an older, grieving Balboa who becomes a father figure to the son of his late rival, Apollo Creed. The film was a revelation. Stallone's performance was layered, vulnerable, and deeply human. It earned him a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination. He wasn't just an action star anymore. He was an actor, a storyteller, a legend. Chapter 9: Beyond the Screen. Off-camera, Stallone's life was just as dramatic. He faced heartbreak, divorce, and personal loss, including the tragic death of his son, Sage. But he also found healing. He married Jennifer Flavin, with whom he raised 3 daughters. Fatherhood softened him, gave him perspective. He began painting, sculpting, and writing. He launched a production company to support new voices. He became a mentor to young actors, sharing his hard-earned wisdom. His body aged, but his passion never waned. Chapter 10: A Legacy That Endures. In recent years, Stallone entered new territory, starring in television for the first time with Tulsa King, a critically acclaimed crime drama. He opened up his personal life in a reality series alongside his family, revealing a more intimate side of the man fans had only known through larger-than-life characters. Still writing, still acting, still dreaming, Stallone shows no signs of stopping. He has become more than a movie star. He is a symbol of endurance, of redemption, of never backing down. From a troubled kid in New York to a global icon, Stallone's journey is proof that failure doesn't define you. How you fight back does. Final words: the heart of a warrior. Sylvester Stallone didn't succeed because he was the best looking, the most polished, or the most connected. He succeeded because he refused to quit. He wrote his own destiny, literally and figuratively. With every punch thrown, every script rewritten, every character shaped, he carved his place into the stone of cinematic history. When people hear the name Stallone, they think of muscles, action, adrenaline. But those who look deeper see a poet, a fighter, a dreamer. He's not just a Hollywood legend. He's proof that the underdog can rise.